Hello, everybody. This is Thomas, aka Noble Apocalypse, and joining tonight with me is
Bobby, aka Gradius. What's going on, guys?
All right. Well, yesterday we recorded all of this, and we were doing our live stream test run, kind of working out all the kinks, and we thought we had them all worked out, but apparently we did not.
I would say it was a success because the people that were watching it understood what the hell was going on. But people who would be watching this on YouTube or perhaps listening to it on iTunes would probably be like, "What the hell happened?"
Yeah, so. It definitely was not one of our better shows. So we're gonna kind of do another run here. We have a couple people watching us in the live stream. We didn't announce it in the chat roll like we will going forward, but we have a couple people watching along with us. And there's still going to be some improvements as we go through this, so it's not going to be 100% perfect this time. But as you know, going from episode 1 to 6.5, things got better as we went, and undoubtedly things will get better as we go.
Absolutely.
So that being said, I want to let everyone know that we are going to be announcing these on the Twitter. So if you would like to know when we're going to be recording, because it's not going to be the same day every time, you'll want to go on at... Excuse me, I just had a brain fart. Beacon 147. So that's Beacon, no space.
Yeah, the name of our show. It's
yeah, right up here. I'm like, can I do the point angle thing? Like right there.
Well, yeah, it's over there somewhere.
Something like that. Anyway, so yeah.
If you're listening on iTunes, we apologize.
Yeah, it's
you're probably looking around, like trying to find things and not knowing what the hell we're talking about.
It's above you. If you're listening to the audio, it's above you. So it's stalking you. Actually, we have floating text above you right now. So it has been a while since we've actually done a show, and the reason for that was we got busy. Things happened, and there was a bit of a lot was announced at the live stream, and it's just been kind of just a steady piece, steady bit by bit piece of information, and we want to make sure when we do a show that we have a good 20 to 30 minutes, if not a little bit more, of content, and a little bit of time for discussion. And I know we talked about this at the end of the last episode, but let's go ahead and get it out of the way since we're doing business now. The format's going to be changing. Grady, do you want to talk about the format change other than the live?
Right. So basically, what we're going to be doing is, we're going to be, of course, the live, but we're going to be doing our two different types of shows. We're going to have our main super ultra mega awesome show, which we're going to try to shoot for, every other week. Not every week, every other week. It's just because, we need to make sure that there's enough information to fit into a large show and not just fill it with random goofiness. Well, there's going to be goofiness. You can count on that. But so we're going to have our mega show, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it ends up being, every other week. And in between those shows, there might be a solo show with either myself or Thomas, or another short duo show, just like a quick news update, or, oh, hey, we want to talk about this real quick thing, like some big issue that's come up, or just a random thing, who knows, but just a short 10-minute, whatever. And, we'll be putting those up with everything else, YouTube, iTunes, you name it. It'll be up everywhere. So mega show, short show, we got you.
Yep, so let's go ahead and not waste any more time and get into the content. So let's start, I guess, with the big piece of news since we left. We last talked about in our previous show was prepping for the 24-hour live stream. Well, the live stream has since happened. The live stream started with Spaceman's parking lot and Zane Bien hitting the button to turn on the new website. So for those of you watching along at home, I will pull up the new website for you. Gradius, why don't you talk about a little bit about the website while I get it all set up and ready here.
They launched the new website, and as most of you guys know, well, unless you've been living under a rock, they launched a new site, and within minutes it was just literally dead. I mean, some people were able to get through, some people couldn't. But when we were at the live stream event, we were able to talk to Zane and, on kind of like a one-on-one behind-the-scenes type of thing. And he was saying that, they had to add a lot more servers to handle the load, but the real issue was the load balancing. And, once they got the load balancing worked out along with, the other servers, things, started to smooth out really good. So The new site, it's missing a couple features like, sending PMs and things like that on the forums, but I'm pretty sure those are things that are being worked on. But, the old site, it was like a WordPress thing, and, this is an estimated, $22 to $24 million game when it's all said and done. So the new website really kind of fits that. That it's appropriate for a game of that, size. So, bye WordPress. Hello, awesome new site with cool new graphics and, news roll, that sort of thing. I really like the design. I like the colors. They've got the store there, the chat roll, the forums. They've got everything there. So, it's cool stuff.
Yeah, some of the things that we saw in some of the videos prior to the site launching that haven't quite made it into the website and is still being added onto. We don't yet have the interactive ships where you can see the hard points and the swirly, twisty stuff, kind of the 3D stuff. That hasn't made it yet. It is coming. Like Gradius mentioned,
they look
private
badass.
Yeah, the private messages aren't quite there yet, but all the other fun stuff is there. I love the new features. For those of you that have subscribed enough, and I'll switch back over so you guys can see it. The concierge is real easy to get to now, so you can ask your questions. You've got your hangars, so you can see, all the stuff that you've purchased and, all of your different ships and things along those lines. So it's pretty cool. The chat roll is still there. And there's a couple spots, and you can see what they're planning to do. You see that organizations tab, so you know that clan features is going to be coming on the website. So it's definitely going to be good times coming very, very soon to the website.
Those guys are working their tails off on this thing. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Another new pledge ship got announced, the Avenger, which is very similar to the 300i. The difference is it doesn't have all the flash and pizzazz that the 300 series has. It is kind of just like a cruiser.
Does it come equipped with Thor and Iron Man?
No.
Oh. Okay.
No.
I guess that's fine.
How punny. So yeah, so it's definitely it's a little bit cheaper, monetarily if you were going to pledge than the 300i, just a couple bucks cheaper. But it has the 300i has more jagged lines. It's got a very definite body shape. This is a little bit more fluid in its lines, and it's pretty cool. So it's gonna be very similar. You may not have the variant like you have the variants that you have with the 300 series, for speed and for a little bit more dogfighting. This is going to be kind of more of a stock base model type ship, but it's definitely a good one to have and definitely worth it. Gradius mentioned that we did go and visit the CIG studio there in Austin. I can't speak English anymore. I've given up on it.
It's in Austin.
It's in Austin, Texas. So we were there for a couple hours during the stream. We got there pretty late in the afternoon, so much imbibing had already occurred, and there was some shenaniganery afoot. But for the most part, it was very enjoyable. We got to meet Ben and Eric and Zane and a couple other people that we had been talking to through different means and seen on Wingman's Hangar / Spaceman's parking lot. For those of you watching,
it was a really fun event. I mean, to me, more than anything, I kind of feel this was a sure, they wanted to release a lot of cool stuff, but this was also a big celebratory milestone event. They released a new website. It was definitely,
it was a launch party.
Well, yeah, it was a party, yeah, and I know that there were some people out there that had, they were kind of upset tuning into the live stream because they really wanted they wanted serious business, they wanted to see all the cool stuff, and there were some technical issues, like if Austin was talking, you couldn't hear LA or whatever, and there were some technical issues that were probably frustrating people, but for everything that those guys are doing, it was fun. It looked to me like the devs that were there, they were having a well-deserved good time.
Absolutely. One of the great things that was released or announced was the 300i Director's Cut, and I'm going to pull that up so you guys can see that, and we're just going to talk right over it. But the 300i Director's Cut was released, and something that wasn't necessarily heavily mentioned was the fact that this is all in-game. This is not pre-rendered. This is not an in-game cinematic. This is what it's going to look like, of course, if your system can handle it. Another very, to me, extremely underrated piece of this is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It is...
How do you? It's like on the level of Cloud Atlas's soundtrack. You know, it's
right.
Like, the music is, I don't know, it really, really fits.
It's very fitting. And to me, when I play a game, soundtrack is extremely important. It's kind of one of those things that you don't notice unless it's done really bad or really good.
Yeah.
And to me, this is one of those ones that I noticed immediately as being really good. Another thing that you really get a good look at here in the director's cut is the lighting effects. That's, the CryEngine is known for as good lighting, but the lighting is only as good as the textures and is only as good as the art behind it, and it is spot on in this. It is unreal, and Greatest is a few seconds behind. He's not seeing in real time what I'm seeing on my screen, but. People are already, kind of pointing out a couple of Easter eggs that are in this video for those of you that might be fans of some of the other games and some of the other Chris Roberts' work.
Like, wasn't one of the battleships or battle cruisers crash landed into the water from Wing Commander 3 or something?
Yeah, and that'll be coming up any second here on the live stream for those of you following along on the video. But I mean, it's definitely car porn, as much as or spaceship porn as you can get. I mean, it is showcasing every angle of the ship and beautiful close-ups and pans and
I love it when it gets real close, like the engine, and you can see the manifolds and stuff close and open. And
there was that point that Gradius was talking about in the live stream.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
It's nice. Now, this, I believe, is the 300i stock version, based on what I can tell. It's either the 320i or the 325A, but I think it's the 320i or the 300i. That we're seeing in the video. As far as the variant, a dead giveaway between the base 300s and the 350 is the two engines on the backside. But
and I heard this is just a rumor. But I heard that it did have flaps, and then they heard your argument about flaps, and they removed them.
I'm not going to say that that's what happened, but I would appreciate it if that was the case. So,
space flaps,
yeah, space flaps. So after that, we kind of got to see a little bit of this just a few minutes before it was released, or before everyone got to see it, was the Starfarer. And the Starfarer is going to be one of those ships, if you're an economy-type person, this is going to be what you are after. Grady, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Starfarer?
This thing, okay, wow. This thing is huge. You got your Idris Corvette, which is effing huge, right? Well, the Starfarer is just slightly smaller. And this thing is designed to carry just crazy amounts of cargo. It's got its own cargo bay, which I think is 75 is it cubic meters? Or no,
it's bigger.
It's 75 something. I can't remember. But it also holds. It's got pods that attach to the underbelly of the ship, and each one of those pods holds just a crazy amount of cargo space. But from what I understand, they said, while we were there, we were talking to one of the guys who was actually designing the thing. As we were watching him, he was building the ship. Each one of those cargo pods holds cargo from a mission or something. So if you pick up a mission that says, oh, hey, we need you to transfer this pod of boysenberries to, the next system over, whenever you accept the mission, you go to your cargo bay, and it's oh, hey, well, there's the pod with the boysenberries in it. We attach the pod to the ship, and you launch, and you go, and when you get there, you drop off the pod of boysenberries. The baker's there, make some boysenberry cakes, and there you go. So each pod, I think they also said that each pod can be ejected in space.
Yep.
So, you're flying and, some pirate comes up to you and says, hey, give me all your stuff. You can drop it and run. And
right. Now, those 3 pods are not the only cargo vessels
There's
on
a
that ship.
cargo bay, up inside the main part of the hull, yeah.
So, I mean, this is definitely going to be your fuel mover, your ore mover, your boysenberry carrier of doom.
It is very important that the people in in UEE space eat their boysenberry cakes.
It's very important. And this one is going to be a little, the next unlocker the next piece of topic from the 24-hour live stream is might rub a few people the wrong way, but makes me very happy, and that is the Idris Corvette.
So I wonder why that makes you happy, huh?
All right, well, the story on the Idris Corvette was during the first 24-hour live stream, the military version of the Idris Corvette was released, and I believe it was 150 of those or 100. My numbers could be off. Less than 200, but more than 99 were originally released. This is the first capital ship that can be purchased with pledges. So, I mean, we know we're going to have another capital ship that's going to be our Bengal carrier, but this is the first, look at one that you can actually get.
I think there's going to be a destroyer class as well, right?
Yeah, there. I believe there is. So I'm going to try to pull up some information on it. But the cool thing about this, when the Idris Corvette was announced, it is gigantic. It is a capital ship. It is, I believe, you can carry 2 fighters in it, so you can park your Hornets in there, have your 2 fighters in it.
Makes it easier to have a couple folks on the ship who can pop out in a pinch, to fly escort if needed.
Yeah, absolutely. These were released in limited batches. The first batch, I believe, was 150. I believe I could be off a little bit. At $1,250, and they just sold out in a matter of minutes. I mean, we were looking at the Idris Corvette going, in what was it, 9 minutes? They had completely sold out.
Yep.
So
watching that number just tick down to 0.
Yeah, but I'm kind of showing you guys a few of the images inside of the Idris and some of the art on it. The difference between the first version that was released and the second version that was released. That was released in this live stream is you don't have the massive rail cannon. So there's a rail cannon on the military version, and they're calling this, I believe, the Coast Guard version of the ship. So it doesn't have that rail cannon on it. But this is definitely going to be, the party wagon. This is going to be your, you bring your guild aboard this ship and you just go to town. So definitely interesting. It sold out so quick, in fact, and I was there trying to make my purchase, and missed out.
You were sitting there on the live stream with your tablet, just trying to log in. Actually, no, you were using someone else's what was it, little mini laptop thing that was not going fast at all.
Yeah, it was just wasn't working. Yeah, so they then ended up releasing an additional batch, I believe, of 50. Later on, I was able to snag one in that batch. Now, the point that I'm trying to make here about this might upset a few people is it was released so late in the evening. I believe it was maybe, I don't know, probably between 11 and 3 Central Time, somewhere in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was early morning Europe, and people probably weren't.
Yeah, so the European crowd, missed a lot of them missed that opportunity to get that ship, but I think they're going to make up for it, and we'll get to why I think they're going to make up for that soon. The other thing to keep in mind, just because you missed an opportunity to get a limited edition ship for pledging doesn't mean you can't get it in game. Every ship will be available in game for you to purchase through the methods of purchase in game.
Now, all that being said, this was a 24-hour live stream. And they did say throughout the live stream they were going to be doing special giveaways and stuff like that. So if you didn't stay up for all 24 hours, you might have missed out on some really cool stuff.
Yep. So that was pretty much the 24-hour live stream. Like I said, a lot of shenanigans, a lot of great interviews. I know Chris talked to several people for a while. Got some good information released. I believe a lot of this information is on YouTube. You can look it up. I'm sure that there are streams out there that people have done. So you can kind of get caught up on things you might have missed. But, those were the big, to me anyway, those were the big topics that were released. So I'm going to transition just a little bit in our previous episode, and back in, I believe, in early to mid-June, we were discussing them crossing the $10 million milestone as far as crowdfunding goes, which is incredible. So in from October to about mid-June, they had raised $10 million, which is leagues above.
Amazing.
But as far as crowdfunding goes, it's the largest crowdfunded game. I mean, that's incredible. And going from that point to not even a month later, or about a month later, starting with that live stream, they've raised an additional $4 million. So they're over $14 million. So they raised $4 million in less than a month.
Yep.
And that's incredible.
I think it was close to $1 million just during the night that we were there. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, that's great. I mean, and with that $4 million coming in, that wasn't just the additional, or that wasn't just people who had already pledged making additional. There was a lot of that, but there have been thousands and thousands of new pledgers that have come in since since hitting that $10 million mark. So you're going to see on the forums, in the chat roll, a lot of questions being asked that have been answered before. So just help them out, or redirect them to some of the wikis that are out there, NebDat, the Star Citizen wiki, NetAndy's stuff, other episodes of our show.
Yeah, really good
Dr.
stuff
Hawks,
out there.
There's catching up on Spaceman's Parking Lot, that type of stuff to get out there. So definitely incredible. I want us to hit 20 million by the end of the year, and I think they'll do it.
Oh, absolutely. At this rate, I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. Especially if they do another couple, ship releases, which I think they were planning on doing anyway, right? They got the hangar module and then the dogfighting module, hopefully in December. So I'm thinking that once those things are out and people get more eyes on to what they're actually going to be getting, those pledges are going to shoot on up. I'm pretty confident. Yep.
One of the things that was announced announced during the live stream, or not necessarily announced, but explained, and was later explained in a comm link, was the economy. And one thing to keep in mind when it comes to the economy, this is kind of how the economy and questing is all going to kind of tie together. If no one is logged into the game, we live in an imaginary world where no one is playing Star Citizen, NPCs will take over and will start performing actions and quests that real players would be doing. So there's a manufacturing bakery on a planet, and they make boysenberry pies. That's what they do. They're out there making their boysenberry pies. In order to make these boysenberry pies, they need boysenberries, but they're in a system 2 jumps away. So quests are going to be issued to NPCs, essentially, and they're going to go out 2 systems over, grab their boysenberries, and come back in 2 systems back, and they'll deliver those boysenberries.
The ever-elusive boysenberry.
Yeah, so they'll start making their boysenberry pies. Now, the game is also going to have pirates that are going to be NPCs, and various issues that might come up. And some of those people, some of those NPCs that are running those quests, to deliver their boysenberries, are going to be intercepted, and are some of them are going to be destroyed. So without any players being involved, the economy is kind of self-balancing itself out. The game is building in, or it's being built into the game that this is going to be kind of happening. It's going to be kind of a cycle of questing. Now, here's the interesting thing. As players log in and join that zone, they'll be they'll be replacing NPCs, and they'll be running these quests, back and forth to bring boysenberries. And some of the, less than law-abiding citizens might decide to do some nefarious things like killing these transports, these starfarers bringing in their boysenberries. So if the game starts to see that, okay, well now we're having a limited supply of boysenberries coming in, so there's, a limited number of boysenberry pies that are being made, we're going to start popping a few.
And there's a high amount of player deaths in this system.
It's going to start popping maybe higher quest rewards. So, before you might have gotten 1 boysenberry pie and 5 credits, now you're going to get maybe 5 boysenberry pies and 100 credits. And that will incentivize some players to try to pick up those quests and bring them back in. If that's still not working, if there's still too many pirates in the system, still too many people disrupting that supply chain, it's going to drive the price of those, the quest rewards higher. There may be missions to not just bring in the boysenberries, but maybe intercept the pirates.
Yep.
So the game is going to have built-in cycles to try to keep everything, I don't want to say in balance, but we've all seen it in MMOs where their quest rewards are not based on the greater economy of supply and demand. They're just, you do this quest, you get the same reward.
Right.
That's what it is. So, you let's just use WoW for an example. There's this questing. You do this quest and you get a quest reward that you need either through reputation or an item to build a new piece of armor or a new weapon.
But it's not based on necessity. It's just there's the quest. There's the quest here. Blah blah blah. Right.
Right. So at first, when this is first available, the value of that, because the supply is limited, the value of completing that quest is so high that it creates an artificial. Well, it's not artificial. It's an actual. The demand is so high and the supply is so low, the price of that good goes up. It's supply and demand. If you go to an auction house to buy this thing that you can only get through questing, few people have done it, the price is higher. What their intent is as more people do that quest, the quest rewards will start to drop. There'll be less supply of boysenberry to bring in to make the boysenberry pie. It'll kind of keep things in place so you won't have this, this roller coaster of inflation and deflation and inflation and deflation. And this is the first time I've seen it in a AAA MMO title, and there's maybe one like in South Korea or China or somewhere that has done this, and I just don't know about it. But it's the first one that I know about where they're trying to keep the economy a little bit more stable through real-world supply and demand constraints, so you won't have this start of this content being available, hyperinflate the prices. Everyone's done it now, hyper-deflate the prices. But there's still going to be that, but it's not going to be this just dramatic up and down roller coaster, which to me is an incredible thing because it should keep that economy a little bit more stable.
This is one thing that really kind of excites me because, when we start, when the game comes out and we start playing it, I plan on being, a more industrial type of player, trader, or once we get some more information on it, maybe a miner or something like that. And, this tells me, okay, if the price for boysenberries is really high, I might need to hire an escort because there's probably going to be some guy on the other side of this jump point, just waiting on me to show up with my boysenberries so that asshole can steal my boysenberries and make money.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I mean, I was an economics major before, anything else when I was in college because I'm just that type of a person. So this is exciting to me. This is the type of stuff that I can't get enough of. I love
Market watch and ups and downs and
yep.
I love it.
So I guess the next big topic is Gamescom coming up in August
in das Deutschland
in Cologne or Cologne, Germany. So on August 24th, that's a Saturday, starting at, I believe, 7 p.m. for those of you that are subscribed or concierge status. You'll get that extra hour to come on in early and talk with the team. And then starting at 8, they'll start letting other Star Citizens in. It will be, and I butchered this last night, so I'm going to try it again. It will be at the Alter Watterseel, which is an old train station. I'm hoping that that's right.
This is going to be really funny if the event is not at an old train station. It's at a convention center. People show up to a train station and it's not there.
Yeah. So
based on some obscure pronunciation of Alter Watterseel.
Yeah, they go to the wrong place. Now, since this is going to be a European event, I would not be surprised if they had a couple Idrises that they were going to be selling at this event to give. I'm not going to say that I have any information, and I could be very wrong on this, but I wouldn't be surprised if to kind of appease the appease the Germans. It's a very bad thing to do. World War II. To pacify the upset European players. So
they also did say, though, I want to say Sandy said to bring, if you've got one, and you're not maybe on the concierge level or high grand super admiral level, bring your citizenship card, and that would also get you entry. I'm almost positive they said that.
I can neither confirm nor deny that. I don't have any information on that. So if you're interested in heading that direction, I think Ken Shadow and Legate are going to be there. It's a lot of the people from the dev team. I think Eric's going to be there. Chris is going to be there. I think Sandy's going to be there. So it's going to be a really good event, and a good opportunity for those European players who might not get the opportunity to come to Austin or Santa Monica / Los Angeles to, go to the studios or SitCon or things like that. That'll give you your opportunity to meet the team and to meet other European players.
And limited seating, right? No, if you want to bring a +1, you better tell them now or it ain't going to happen, right?
That +1 better be backing.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
So that is that. That around that time we'll have more information for the Hangar module. My guess would be that they're probably going to show it off at the Gamescom event, and then probably within a few days to a few weeks we'll actually get a released version. A very early alpha build of the Hangar. Something to keep in mind too. This is the Ultravattersel, something along those lines. Is not where Gamescom, it's not the same facility grounds of Gamescom, so you don't need to have a pass for Gamescom to go to this event. It is a separate event. Now you can get a pass to Gamescom. It's not like E3. It is available to the public. It's just a couple euros. I think it's 11 to 20 euro for a day pass, so you still have that opportunity if you want to go, but you're not required to have a Gamescom pass to go.
Julio?
All right, so you put out a 0.5 episode talking about controllers.
So great debate.
Yeah, so before we go too deep into what people have been saying, what are you going to be doing?
Man, this is a tough one because it just really depends on multiple things like budget and, how well maybe the dogfighting module plays out. But my initial thoughts are mouse and keyboard, but that's just because that's how I played, games like Freelancer and stuff like that. But I have a gut feeling that I'm not going to be able to play that very well because there's been some things mentioned about, maneuverability and things like that really kind of have me questioning whether or not I'm going to be able to really benefit more from keyboard and mouse as opposed to like a joystick or a game controller. So I'm going to try keyboard and mouse first. If that fails, I've got a joystick. It's like a $30 joystick, so it doesn't have yaw and stuff like that on it. But I'll try that out, maybe like a joystick keyboard combo. And if that doesn't work, like my final straw is going to be game controller, Xbox controller. So we'll see how that goes.
I think I'm going to kind of go a similar route. I think when I'm in, first person or third person view, or depending upon if I'm over the shoulder or if I'm in the character, if I'm not actively piloting the ship, I think I'm going to stick with keyboard and mouse. I think that for me is the most comfortable way of playing that. But I think when I'm piloting the ship, I'm going to want to have, joysticks or, that control that comes from that. And I think the cheapest and easiest way to achieve that without, destroying the pseudo studio multi-monitor setup that I have here with a HOTAS is going straight to a 360 controller. I mean, you can get one at your local, GameStab for, a used one 360, for, 20 bucks or so, if you don't have one. So I think, I really think that that's going to be the cheapest and, for me at least, the least expensive, least cluttery way of doing things, and to probably get the best maneuverability through a 360 controller, with the dual thumbsticks when I'm piloting my ship. Now, we saw a lot of people in the comments section talking about wanting to use the Oculus Rift, and I'm on board with that. I mean, I use, I do 3D gaming. I've got, different types. I've got active shutter and passive 3D. I try to do as much as I can in gaming to get a feel for it. But throwing on that Oculus Rift, I think is going to be extremely immersive, extremely incredible. But it does really, for me, it's going to take me, I still want to be aware of what's going on around me.
Yeah.
So, I think there will be times and places for it, perhaps a lot during Squadron 42, where it's a more cinematic experience and it's a little bit more controlled. I think that would be the place where I'd use the Oculus Rift, or if we're doing a big battle and, I want it to have that heart-pounding, feeling, I might do the Oculus Rift. And that peripheral, if it's in that 300 or less price range, is in the realm of affordability. I mean, we're not looking at a multi-$1,000 HOTAS setup like what some people have been talking about in the forums or in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the Rift?
It's going to come out with the final version, I think. And the game is going to be natively supporting it, obviously. So, and it's going to be like what, $300, I think, something like that.
Well, the official price hasn't been released, and there was just an article on Kotaku the other day where they were talking about the release of the Rift and the consumer version, how they're going to make it as cheap as possible, whether it's through subsidies or working a monthly sub. I mean, they're going to try to do as many things as they can to make it as affordable as possible, because that $300 barrier for some people is a high barrel. That's a high bar to cross. And in order to get adoption, it has to be very affordable, very approachable. So I
might
be cheaper.
I think I would get it. If it's in the books, and I think the only thing about it though is just kind of when you're using that, you're kind of closing yourself off from everything else. So. I don't think my wife would like it if I had it, because I'd be wearing the damn thing and she'd be trying to get my attention somehow and not working. I would pretty much just be closing myself off from everything else. But I think that it's going to be one of the most immersive things that you can get. Like if your goal is immersion in the game that you're playing, and the game supports the Oculus Rift natively, I don't think there's any other option that's going to give you nearly as much, immersion into the game. So if I can get it, I will. But I think it is not up to me. So
yeah, we saw a lot of people talking, about keyboard and mouse, and being classic PC gamers. Since this is targeting, the PC gamer approach, going with the keyboard and mouse. I just don't see, when you're in space, you really have full, no BS 3 dimensions to work with.
Yep.
And a keyboard and mouse, you're really limited to 2 dimensions. Your mouse is moving in a fixed position on a plane. And, you can, I do know that, you're pulling up, you're getting that 3rd dimension, you're pulling down, you're getting that, that 3rd dimension. But, I don't think that it's going to be as easy for you to pilot your ship, and control its direction, and then control where you're firing while executing a turn. I think that it's going to be, for me at least, I think it's going to be easier to achieve that through a joystick type approach, a HOTAS approach, a 360 approach. For me personally, but that's just me. Some people, I would love to see, and we talked about this before in the dogfighting module. A way to say this player is playing with keyboard and mouse, this player is playing with a controller, this player is playing with the joystick, and to kind of see
just during that testing phase, so we can see how it works out.
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if RSI is doing this, but I think it would give RSI, a way to kind of determine if there's a massive advantage, on a bell curve. I'm sure there are going to be people who are incredible with keyboard and mouse, regardless of, if they're quote unquote limited in their maneuverability. But I'm curious to see the averages, that middle point of the bell curve, where the player's skill level is. And if there's a huge advantage to playing with the Rift and, a HOTAS, then if I want to be a competitive player, then I'll make that investment. I've got over a year to save for that. But I'm just I'm a numbers statsy type person. I'm curious to see what's going on. Somebody was talking about how they want to use the Rift and the Omni, and I'm sure you've seen the Omni, that Kickstarter project where, they can walk around and do all that other stuff. And I think that's going to be fun. And it's great that we're getting a game at launch that's going to have so much support natively built in.
Yep, absolutely. Lots of peripherals, lots of things to add to the immersion. And I think that's one of the big goals that Chris has, developing the game, is immersion and fidelity. And if all of these things come together like they're supposed to, it should be pretty darn amazing.
Yeah, my only complaint about the Rift would be we talked to Zane, and they're starting to work hard and heavy on the mobile app and the companion app. And second screen functionality is one of the things that they'd like to do. If you have that Rift on, you lose second screen.
Yep.
So that might be something to keep in mind with the Rift, or that might be a trade-off. Have that beautiful 3D, and maybe lose radar or maps or your something, that you might have on that secondary or companion screen.
That's true.
So that's all I have on the controllers. Do you have anything else?
No, I mean, it's just, thanks for the feedback. We got lots of responses on our YouTube, channel for episode 6.5, and, it's good to see some of the responses that we got, a wide range, so.
Definitely. All right, well, we talked a little bit about it at the top of the show, but now we're approaching the bottom, so I'll just kind of recap it. We are now recording and streaming these live, so we definitely encourage you guys to follow our Twitter stream, which is at Beacon147. We'll announce when we're recording. We'll try to give you guys a day or two notice so you can set your schedules accordingly. But we'll be following along on the Twitch channel and in the chat roll, so you'll be able to provide real-time feedback and corrections, which God knows we need our corrections when we make mistakes, because we want to provide the best and most accurate information we can.
Absolutely.
So be sure to tune in. Like I said, this is kind of a dry run here on our live stream, so audio might still need a little bit of tweaking, video might need a little bit of tweaking, but it's going to get better. So thank you for any of your comments and feedbacks and suggestions as far as what we could do to make it a little bit better.
Yeah, and there's tons of different sources of feedback too that we check regularly. Our YouTube, Twitter. We also have an email address, beacon147 at thechosenguild.net. That is, who we are. So lots of different sources for feedback.
Yep. Let's see. We're going to have those smaller shows coming up, like I said. Very soon we'll have them up there. It might just be me, might be Gradius. We'll do just some quick news announcements and save the big information for the mega shows that we'll try to do every other week or so.
Absolutely.
So that's all I have. Do you have anything else?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, download our iTunes podcast, or our podcast on your podcatcher of choice. Search Beacon147 on iTunes or your pod stuff of choice. And that's it. This is Thomas, a.k.a. Noble APOC, signing out.
Yep, Gradius, Bobby, we're out of here.